Chicago, and I am here with one of the best, most renowned photographers in our city. I'm talking about Barry Butler, who is with me this morning. Barry, high five. We did it.
Awesome.
We're finally together.
Yes.
We're meeting each other.
Yes.
How did our relationship start exactly?
Probably me putting photos up there, and you said, "Hey, could I use them on my weather forecast?"
And every day, and every day, and every day, and so much so that I kept asking. I was very good. You must admit that I asked permission, right?
Sure, absolutely.
I was very, very good, and I kept asking permission. Barry, can I use this? Can I use it? And then he finally said, "You know what, Ericka, use them all. Just make sure you give me credit, rightfully so." And 9 years later, we're still together.
Yes.
And we're still working with this beautiful scenery that Chicago has to offer. Tell me, Barry, why? Why Chicago?
Well, all you have to do is just look. I mean, as you can see here, there is the skyline. I mean, and it starts here. So, and we're in a good spot in the city. We're between the Adler Planetarium and the Shed Aquarium, and you see the entire skyline for the most part. And I never get tired of it, and it's always changing.
It's always changing. I've only been here 9 years, and I could already see some buildings that were not here when I first arrived. So does that keep you more busy, or do your pictures that are 5-10 years old become more expensive because they're vintage? Like, how does that work in photography?
I might start doing that.
Oh, there you go, see? Royalties.
Well, so, I started with landscape photography, which was mountains and waterfalls, and that doesn't change. So a photograph that I took 20 years ago pretty much will look like now.
Right.
Here, this changes every year. So, for example, as we're looking behind us, the St. Regis hotel / condo, that's a new building. That only really went up in the last year.
And even Navy Pier with the hotels, like that's new.
The hotel, and then we got a new Ferris wheel a few years ago.
Right.
So everything is changing. So every year I have to reshoot the city, or my stuff is old.
Right, so that keeps you busy, because I'm sure that you do some work with some companies that say, hey, I want this skyline, and you need to get paid again.
Yeah, it's often. It was funny, I work with the Chicago Tourism Board, and they were saying to us, oh, our St. Patrick's Day photos are old. Could you send us some new stuff to start working with? So yeah, that's how it works.
That's great. I'm happy to hear that your work keeps growing, right?
I'm
because
very fortunate.
You're shooting the same city, but the silhouette is changing.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And speaking of the silhouette, we were talking about how Chicago is a flirt, right? Like I always say in Spanish to my audience, I say, ay, no, Chicago es muy coqueta, no? And you were thinking the same.
Oh, I think you're 100% right. I mean, every day there's something pretty, every angle. Some people I have to have my, my good side. There's a lot of good sides in Chicago.
Right, you know what? I agree with that 1,000%. Algunos de nosotros, cuando nos toman una foto, decimos, este es mi lado, pero Chicago, like me, doesn't have a side.
I have no good sides, so I'm not like Chicago.
It has just been named the best big city
5 years in a row.
5 years in a row.
5. Take that, New York.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I grew up in New Jersey, and New York is beautiful, but in order for you to appreciate New York, you almost have to be in Jersey.
Yes.
Right? You almost have to be in New Jersey, because you can be walking around in New York City and you need to see the cops and the dogs, and you're like, why are you guys outside? Oh, it's the Empire State Building, right? Like you don't notice it. Right? You don't notice it because everything is so,
concentrated.
Yeah, it's so cluttered. But here we have the luxury of space.
Yes, the city has breadth. So it's not all clogged together. You can actually walk down Michigan Avenue and see the sun, whereas New York, not so much.
Right, it really is extremely special. I have worked in different markets, and I have asked you for pictures, right? So you have cheated on Chicago, okay? Porque a veces cuando trabajo en Nueva York, le pido fotos, así que yo sé que él no es fiel. Right, yo sé que no es fiel. So, who is your runner-up? I know you've cheated, but with who?
Well, I'm originally from Ireland.
So she doesn't count.
Yeah, Ireland doesn't count. Okay.
Okay.
You know what city has a wonderful skyline? Cincinnati.
Oh, okay. I've never
Yeah.
been. Tell us a little bit about you becoming a photographer and making this a profitable business, because now in the world of Instagram and Facebook and likes and shares and retweets and stories and everything else, a lot of the pictures that I see lately have a lot of makeup on, right?
Okay.
A lot of foundation, a lot of fake lashes,
Yeah.
right? But yours are more natural, and I feel like that's the reason why they're so beautiful. Tell me a
Well,
little bit
thanks. That
about
was nice of you to say that. Well, I first started off in film. So when you were doing photography with film, you needed to do it right from the beginning. Hey, how you doing? Hey, high five! Hey. See, you can do a lot of things along this area. So I started off with film, so you had to get it right in the camera. You didn't have the ability to go on your computer and manipulate things. So I'm taught that way, and it's more natural. And then the other part, it's authentic. I don't shoot for likes, I shoot for me, but it's developed into people like my work and then they want to purchase it.
Let's talk a little bit about weather in Chicago, because I'm a meteorologist, but you got it down.
Thanks.
Yeah, you are very good.
Self-taught meteorologist.
You're also very good at that, and maybe you could be profitable doing that too, right? But you got it. I see your work with catching the rainbows. I see the lightning. I see that you're calculating the winds to make sure there's a reflection on the lake. You see, I pay attention.
Yeah.
How much of that goes into your work?
100%.
Oh, there you go.
So I look at things 24 hours ahead of time, and so I do my own forecasting, and that allows me to decide where I'm going to be in the city. So if I know the light's going to be a certain way, or the lake will be in a reflecting mode, I'm going to be there. So we lost the reflection, but earlier the winds were coming out of the west, and they're about 5 to 6 miles an hour. That's enough where the lake will be calm. And so I would come out here and take a photograph where the city is reflected into the water. And then I look for storms and so on and so forth. So wherever Mother Nature's going to throw at me, that's where I try to go.
And we've seen some gorgeous lightning over the years where you've gotten 2 bolts at the same time. What about when you do severe weather? Vamos a preguntarle, ¿qué tal cuando él hace severe weather? Porque él me manda fotos de lightning, de rayos, y yo me preocupo por su salud, ¿no? How do you do that, and how do you stay safe?
Well, first I have waterproof gear on,
Okay.
and then I always make sure I have something over my head, not a tree.
Right.
Something that will protect me, because lightning will go after the highest point. And with this dome, they think that's an antenna.
Right.
And then I have radar with me that allows me to follow the lightning coming into the city.
So what tricks do you use to get the lightning exactly at that point? Le pregunto, ¿qué trucos tiene para agarrar ese rayo exactamente en ese punto perfecto?
When I see the clouds getting really angry, I'm firing away.
Which is the building that you love to shoot during thunderstorms?
Right there, the Hancock. Yeah, I think the Hancock is the coolest building in the city. I mean, they're all cool, but I just have I don't know why, I just love that building.
It's just cool because it's so
it's different. Yeah, it's different.
And it's kind of like, the old celebrities from the 80s and 90s used to live there.
Right.
So it
We
makes
didn't.
it kind of cool. We did. Well, I wasn't born. kidding. But yeah, it just makes it cool. But why shoot that one? Why not shoot Willis?
Oh, well, I do. Oh, well, I call it Sears Tower. I don't know Willis Tower. I know it's Sears Tower. But no, Sears Tower is phenomenal too.
Right.
And that actually has probably more lightning shots than the Hancock, which is smaller. Because lightning will go after the highest thing in the sky, and Sears Tower is it.
And let me ask you a question. When we see those cool pictures of lightning hitting the Hancock or the Sears Tower, how many of those, I mean, they don't hit, right? It just looks like they hit. Oh, they did hit.
Yeah, they're all over the place.
Okay.
So in a typical storm, once or twice they'll hit. What's funny, people talk about lightning doesn't hit somewhere twice.
It hits all the time.
The Hancock, there are times it hits
Right.
like 2 or 3 times.
Right. That's pretty cool, Barry. All right, let's talk about your calendar, because this is a hot ticket, and everyone's gonna be looking for one. So let's try to get ours in early. Talk to me about this calendar and how you chose the pictures for 2022.
Okay, so I've been doing this calendar for several years now, and people love it. Fortunately, thank you. It's a calendar of the most recent shots of Chicago over the last 12 months, and each month it's a photograph that was taken in that month. So when you see the May photograph, that was taken this past May. So and I start this past August, because that's when the calendar was completed, all the way to last September.
Awesome, and it's a really cool calendar. I've gotten it years before. You can find yours at barrybutlerphotography.com, and you'll be choosing pictures for 2023 soon,
Yes,
right?
yes, already working on it.
All right, because last week I was covering weather, and I think it was 5:55, 5:54, and I see on Twitter that you put rainbow 5:52, and it had just happened. It's not photoshopped, it's not edited, it's just a beautiful picture, and we're so lucky to be able to see that in all of social media. Thank you.
I'm lucky that people like my work. And honestly, thank you so much. There are times I sit there and say, wow, I can't believe people like what I do. But you know, I'm hoping that people realize that this is such an amazing city, and there's so many good things about that. And I think that's the thing that we have to do on a regular basis. Focus on the positive, focus on the good things, and there's a lot of it, and it's right behind us.
Oh yeah. Thank you guys. And thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Bye, chicos.